Hi everybody. Um, so I decided I wanted to do a little video about my Mounjaro, mostly because I wanted to put out like a realistic picture of what it looks like when you take this medication. I know that when you go do a whole bunch of looking online, there's a bunch of people out there and they have like these huge results and they've done all this stuff and um, it sounds really impressive. So I just wanted to put mine out there. Mine's still pretty good, but it's not like what I saw when I was doing the research. So I just wanted to put this out there. Anyway, why I'm on it. I was diagnosed with diabetes several months ago. I knew about my insulin resistance, and it kind of just was steady for about 20 years. My numbers didn't really change. And then after COVID and the couple years after that, things kind of really changed. I wasn't going out to the office to work. Um, I stayed in the house. I wasn't nearly as active as I was, um, and you know, you kind of get accustomed to not going places and ordering food and all that stuff. So things were different, and my body reacted to the new normal. And so I went ahead and got diabetes. So um, I decided that it was time. I did a bunch of research. First of all, it threw me into some kind of low key, I don't know if panic is the right word, but it was definitely like I was feeling a sense of urgency around like all of, health stuff, my weight and the diabetes and insulin resistance. And um, I kind of stay in a place where I feel like the internet's lying, all the doctors are lying, because I feel like the information that we need is just not out there readily available. And you can go to one doctor and they say one thing, and then you go to another doctor and they say another thing. And then for years, like, I thought probably I was diabetic, but they were telling me no, they weren't comfortable diagnosing me. So, all of that stuff impacts the way I trust doctors or don't trust them, or, so forth. So, at this time, I was feeling a lot of urgency. I was like, okay, I can't keep going down this path. I've tried so many other things before and they didn't work, and I don't know what to do. So, if you know me, I can be kind of a resistant person, particularly when it comes to doctors. So, I did some soul searching and I was like, okay, I'm I was 47 at the time. Like, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. It's not working. I'm going to have to make some changes. Whether or not I need to lose weight, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I need to do. But I don't want to spend my 50s amping up my medicine regime. Right? I take one or two things right now, and I don't really want to take more because I don't like taking medication. So I have all these things. And I thought, okay, if it's gonna get better, I need to take care of it now. It's only gonna get harder. So I talked to my doctor and I talked to my therapist, and I was like, okay, I got to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell my doctor how I'm feeling, and I'm going to listen to what she says. I trust that she is a professional. She knows what she's doing, and I'm gonna try her way because my way's not working. Okay, so she knows who I am and how I am, and she says, okay, and she took this as an opportunity. She says, your weight needs to come down. You need to get on top of this A1C. Let's see if we can get this into remission. Let's go for the best chance, because normally what they would do is they'd put you on metformin and you try that for a while, and then they'd kind of ratchet you up. She goes, let's just go for this. So she put me on Mounjaro. It's a new medication. Medications like this have been around for a little while. You've probably heard of Ozempic and Trulicity. It's very similar to those. They are, I think it's called a GLP 1 inhibitor or something like that. This Mounjaro does GLP and then one other thing, and so it's in that same class. But this one's newer, and um, you know, as I was researching it and researching what I needed to do to reverse and get rid of my diabetes and my insulin resistance, it was popping up as like the medical version of bypass surgery. So apparently, a lot of people have some really big results when they take this medication. Um, so I decided to give it a shot, and it took me probably 3 months of being on the medication before I was like, okay, I'm gonna relax. I'm just gonna go with the flow because uh, my disordered body food situation, um, it's kind of around like if I'm doing something, I go like really far the other way. So like if I would go on a diet, back in the days when I dieted, which it's been a long time, but I would like be eating next to nothing, and I would then I'd wonder why I didn't feel good, right? And then or I would hit the gym, and I would be in the gym every day for 2 hours, really working hard until I made myself sick. And I'm asthmatic, so I'd get sick, and then my asthma would flare up, and then I would get pneumonia, and I would just be in this sick cycle for like 6 months. And so all the work that I did would be gone, and then that would send me into like a cycle, and like it just is not pretty, and it sucks, and I hated it. And the more I learned, and once I hit 35, I gave all that stuff up. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's bad for you. Stop it. That was me. So you can imagine after, gosh, from age 11 to 35 in that cycle, and then from 35 to 47, relative peace. Like when I gave up all that stuff, oh my god, the level of peace I found. Didn't really heal the disordered behaviors, but I wasn't doing them, and so they were kind of on the back burner. When I went on Mounjaro, all of that just kind of came up, and I had to deal with it. So I was really glad to have my therapist on deck for that. So the first thing I want to say to you is, if you guys ever decide to do this, definitely get into a therapy situation. If you have, I will say, if you have if you have eating disorder of any kind, if you have any kind of disordered mindset or behavior around dieting, around exercise, around your body size, if you have body dysmorphia, if you have anything like that, I'm gonna even say, if you are a person who doesn't have like just a ton to lose, but you are really down on yourself because you have 50 pounds to lose or something, get a therapist when you're going on Mounjaro, because it's something else. So here's how it all went down. Here's my Mounjaro. It comes in a box like this. This is a 5.0. It might be time for me to go up to the 7.0. There's side effects. Mostly they're like gastrointestinal, constipation, or diarrhea. Usually not both. You can feel nauseated. You definitely cannot eat the way you're used to eating. And you can get headachy sometimes. Like, there's some things, but your body, most of that stuff, it will normalize regularly. Like, it'll get used to the medication, and as long as you're drinking enough water, everything will kind of normalize, and you won't feel that way. That stuff doesn't last forever. One thing that does seem to be hanging on for me is it's changed the way my voice sounds. I don't know if it's a lot different for the people who talk to me, like around me, my friends and family, but I hear it. So I get this vocal fry stuff. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but that's because of the Mounjaro. That's not my normal voice. This vocal fry stuff that you hear isn't my normal voice. It's a side effect. So I just want to be really honest with you about that. Okay. So I started taking the Mounjaro, and um, the first thing that happened is I noticed that I was not hungry at all, ever. um, so it was something I really had to make sure that I was eating. Um, I do an intermittent fasting thing. I do it because I kind of normally do it anyway, and because I don't like getting up and eating, and I also found that once I was on Mounjaro, it was really hard to get 3 meals in, and I went to the nutritionist about my diabetes, and they're like, you need to be eating frequently through the day and da 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 da. Well, everybody else that I was studying, all these other doctors and people that have put their diabetes in remission and stuff, they're saying, nah, you need to do intermittent fasting because you need your insulin. You need to give your insulin time to recuperate after you eat. So you need to give your body as much time where you're not eating anything to allow that insulin to go down and your body to get used to a lower level. And something that the nutritionist did tell me is that, as your sugar's coming down and as your insulin is improving, you'll feel low blood sugar symptoms even though your blood sugar isn't low. It's just your body's so used to having higher blood sugar that as it's starting to lower, you'll get to where you feel shaky, and you'll have, the low blood sugar symptoms, which was, I'm really glad she said that to me because I sure did. But the whole eating thing, once I started Mounjaro, eating 3 to 6 times a day was just not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. I'm already not somebody who eats all day. I don't do a whole lot of snacking. Um, I'm more of like a big meal kind of person. Like, I'll sit down and have a nice big meal, and then I won't want to eat for a long time. So, but the meals that I ate, a girl likes some fried chicken. What can I say? um, so that was a huge change. So the Mounjaro made it so that first I wasn't hungry. I didn't want to eat. For the first time in my life since I can remember, I would forget, like, legitimately, like, forget to eat, and not because I was busy and just forgot, but because, and here's the second thing that I noticed, there was no food chatter. And if you know, you know, right? The food chatter, like, you just ate and now you're already thinking about, what am I going to eat the next time? And it's like a tape recorder. For me, I experienced it kind of like a tape recorder because for so long I was dieting and counting calories and portion sizes, the size of your thumb, the size of your fist, the palm of your hand, a deck of cards. I like I was conditioned and accustomed to this mindset that you don't eat unless you know what you're eating, you have an idea of exactly what the calories are, and it got to be so second nature I didn't even realize I was doing it because it was always considered a good thing, so I didn't even question it. I went on this Mounjaro. There was one day where I did not eat. Like, I got up in the morning and I was just sipping my water. I was doing good. Especially when I first started, I was guzzling the water because that's what I was told. You better drink a lot of water so you can mitigate some of these side effects. They're not as bad if you stay hydrated. And that is true. Stay hydrated. Um, but I think I got to 7 p.m. and I was like, I haven't eaten anything today. What? Right? And I've had days where I didn't eat. That's not special, but what is special is even on those days, typically I'm like, you should eat, you should eat, you should eat. What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Like, I had the food chatter in my head. Like, what sounds good? This sounds good. Well, that's not good for you. Pick something else. The food chatter. If you know, you know. That was gone. Completely gone. And then when I did eat, I couldn't eat, like, I maybe, especially when I first started it, in the first month or two, maybe eat a quarter of what I could eat before. I would eat a few bites and I would feel full, and I'm like, oh, I can't eat anymore. And then the nausea would start. If I pushed myself to eat what I thought was a normal, meal. Nausea, I feel sick, I feel terrible, and it was awful, and it made me not want to eat at all. So that's a problem, right? Okay, so this is where the therapist comes in, because for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, it triggered a lot of that disordered mindset that I had. One, because it made me afraid. Like, I was really afraid that I didn't want to eat. Like, I would for real go days where like nothing sounded good. I didn't really want to have anything. So I was like making boiled eggs and an apple for breakfast, lunch, because I wasn't eating until like noon or 1 o'clock. And I would have like 3 or 4 boiled eggs and an apple, and I wouldn't want to eat the rest of the day. But I'm like, you got to eat something else. So then I would cook dinner for my kids, or I would make dinner. Um, and a lot of times it was just like I'd cut up some celery and carrots and have some dip. Um, like not inspired to eat at all. So that's a different thing too. It's like I think half of that was like because Mounjaro, you're not gonna feel super great if you eat a whole bunch, and so you're just like, I don't really want to deal with that. So you just eat what you need to eat. And I was trying to do like a good nutritional punch, so I was eating real clean and a lot of raw vegetables and stuff, and um, a lot of really good stuff. But I wasn't eating very much. So because of all of those things, the way I was feeling, the way the medicine was controlling my appetite, and how I would feel when I ate, it it threw me into like this cycle. And I was just afraid, because I was afraid not to continue, but I was afraid that I was hurting myself because I wasn't eating very much. And so I had to really work through some of that stuff, and it was hard. Like, there were days where I was like crying and freaking out because I'm like, I had 2 boiled eggs today and I don't want to eat. Like, what is that? Right? And you get accustomed to a certain amount of food, and you get accustomed to a certain level of things. Um, and then because I was doing, my primary goal is to put my diabetes and insulin resistance into remission. You have to not eat a whole lot of carbs while you're doing that. So then, you get, they call it the carb flu, low carb flu, or keto flu, or what. I don't know. I'm not doing keto. I'm not doing it. But I don't eat a whole lot of carbs, or at least especially at this time, I was eating almost none, and I would force myself to eat some. So having my therapist catch me on this, and then I was just really super honest with my doctor about what I was experiencing. Um, that's one of the reasons why she put me on a Libra, the continuous glucose monitor, um, because it was helping me kind of watch my sugar, know that it wasn't going too low, I wasn't going to die overnight, and like, I was just really in a really messed up state. And one of the things that it did for me is that beginning phases when I was first taking it, it like really showed me what my disorder was. Like, I don't know if there's a name for it or not. Like, I'm not diagnosed or something, but it showed me how my mindset and the way I was thinking and what I expected to be normal, and my full distrust of my body, full distrust. Like, if I didn't keep a status quo, I was just gonna die or something. Like, in my anxiety, all of that came to the forefront in a very big way. And it was really helpful. Two things: one, to have my therapist; two, to have a doctor that was, she was like, okay, she really entertains me. Like, I'm like, listen, I need to know what my electrolytes are doing, and she'll send the work in, and we get the electrolyte information back, and it's fine. Okay, it's fine. Everything's been fine. um and my therapist has kind of talked me off a ledge before, and so I finally got to a place. It took about 3 months, 3 months to say, okay, this is okay. And then there are 4 months when I finally feel like, I can trust this process. It's not what I expected it to be for all of those reasons, and because of the results that I'm having and the things that I'm experiencing. But now I'm in a place where I'm calm about it, and I can trust the results. I can trust my body, and I'm starting to, like, I can I can hear my body now more. Like I know when I'm dehydrated versus hungry. I know when I'm hunger still. I mean, if I'm honest, it's still challenging because, um, this medication really it manipulates your satiety hormone and some other things. So the communication between your brain and your stomach isn't the same. So like now that I've been on this 5.0 for 4 months, my body's getting used to it, and now I'm starting to understand the hunger signals and stuff like that a little bit better. So it's just all a process, and I was finally comfortable with just following the process and trusting it and doing what I have to do. I wish it wasn't messing with my voice so much. I sound a little different than what I am accustomed to. Um, so, long story short, um, get a therapist. So, if you are a person that it might experience this kind of cycle, like if it's going to throw you into a panic. Now that I've been doing this for a while, I'll talk about my results. Most of the side effects are gone except for the voice thing. Sometimes I get a little nauseated a day or two after the shot, um, and that's okay. It's not that bad for me. Usually it just means I'm not drinking enough water, so I amp up the water. In the first 4 months, I lost 20 pounds. And so let me tell you, when I say the weight is secondary, but the research that I did indicates, because the other problem I'm having is I'm having some acid reflux, GERD stuff, and a hiatal hernia and some other things, right? So for all of those things, one of the things that they say really, really, really helps is to lose weight. So while my body positivity, um, body liberation, food liberation, like that side of me is like, what? You're trying to lose weight? What are you talking about? um, my mind, for me personally, weight loss is a goal because it is going to help me with some of the issues that I'm having, physical issues that I'm having in my body, and may help me continue, a good quality of life for longer without having to take a bunch of medication. And that's my goal. Okay, so having said that, I have lost 20 pounds in the first 4 months. Um, it's like, I don't know why I thought I was going to be like 2 months in, 40 pounds down, right? Like, that's kind of the picture you get with a lot of people. Um, but my goal wasn't to lose weight super fast, or even really, like, it's part of the goal, but it's not like what I'm trying to do. I am not trying to lose weight, right? I am trying to build health care, like good personal care habits and routines. I'm trying to fix my brain around some of my disordered behaviors that, keep me having issues. And I'm trying to go slow. I'm trying to slow down, and just trying to keep going, right? Don't quit, and make changes that, if I'm on the medication for a long time, or if I come off of it, changes that I'll still have, right? These are patterns I'm trying to build. So I haven't been exercising. I eat what I want. I'm experimenting with carbs, right? So my doctor is like, you have to eat carbs. You can't not eat carbs. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm experimenting with what kinds of carbs I can eat without, spiking my blood sugar. And I found, for example, farro is a really good replacement for rice. I'm going to try some brown rice. I think that spiked my sugar too. But farro, really good. And it tastes good and has a nice texture. So anything you would make, like I made stuffed peppers, and normally you would mix some rice in with the ground beef. I mixed in the farro, and it was really good. And as a matter of fact, I kind of think I like it better than rice. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. Because it doesn't spike my blood sugar. It doesn't make me feel like I need a nap 30 minutes later. So I love it. Um, so stuff like that. That's what I've been doing. Lately here, I've been adding in walks. I have a loop that is about 1.5 miles that I walk in my neighborhood, and my goal is to get to where I can do it 2 times in an hour. So, but I don't go walking every day. I'm working up to that, but I'm honoring my body and I'm just doing what feels good. Um, and I'm paying attention to my mental health. I'm paying attention to how I feel. And that's the extent of the exercise that I'm doing. I do a little stretching here and there, but it's not every day. It's not even every week. Um, and I drink my water, do the best that I can, because sometimes it's not great. I did find out that I got so sick of water for so many months. That's all I drank. I did. I started splurging on some sugar-free. I'm not supposed to, because it like if you have GERD, anything with artificial sweeteners can make that acid problem worse. But I figure one of these a day is gonna be fine, and it's gonna, like, I'm paying attention to the mental health aspects of it. I'm getting depressed. If I'm getting depressed because all I'm allowing myself is water, and I want something that tastes different, good, like if I want a cup of coffee with a couple teaspoons of sugar in it, or even a tablespoon or two, I can have that every once in a while. I have to have decaf. I have to, or else I get heart palpitations. So, decaf. So I allow myself to splurge on some expensive decaf because it tastes better than most decaf, which is usually terrible. So that's what I'm doing as far as nutrition and exercise. The only thing that I'm doing like consistently is taking my Mounjaro medication on time, and that by itself, with the changes that it has created, I've lost 20 pounds in 4 months. My next weigh-in, which my official weigh-ins, the only weigh-ins I pay attention to because I can't keep myself off the scale, but I only write them down once a month, on the first of every month. So I have one coming up. I might be down from where it was before. I think I am down a little bit more. So I'm averaging roughly 5 pounds a month. My strategy is to continue taking the 5.0 until the weight loss slows down, and then I might go up to 2.0 or the 7.5. I don't know if that's how that's supposed to work. That's what I think. So I'm going to talk to my doctor about that. But anyway, so here's some things I've noticed. I don't feel smaller. I don't feel like I look smaller. I do notice in my face it's looking a little different, but there seems to be an ebb and flow. So like logically I know the scale says less and my skin is looser and I'm much squishy for a little while, and my skin gets looser and I can pinch it in ways that I couldn't before, and then over time that goes away, right? It goes away. So then it's back to where it was. Now, I'm always squishier than I was before, but the skin kind of tightens up. And I'm like, oh, I'm not really losing weight. So there's a mental thing. This is why you need a therapist, because I cannot look in the mirror at my body and go, oh, wow, I'm losing weight. Other people are telling me I am. I can't see it. But I know from the scale that I'm on, I've lost at least 20 pounds over the last 4 months, more over the last 5. My belly button is smaller. That's weird. I noticed that like 2 days ago. I'm like, okay, strange. I am at the point now where I notice that I'm not as winded when I go upstairs. Not because I'm walking, but because I weigh less. 20 pounds is a lot of weight to lose. And, if you've ever carried something 20 pounds up some stairs, it's heavy and it makes you, work for it. No matter who you are, carrying 20 pounds up some stairs is not the same as just walking up some stairs. So that's a little bit better. My knees, they look different. I can tell you they look different. and I still get really stiff just because I'm old. Now, I'm middle-aged now. I am a woman of a certain age. That's what I think. Um, so I still get real, like, rickety and stiff in the morning, but what I have noticed is that my knees don't hurt as bad and as much as they used to. And my ankles and my feet. So there's a lot of really nice changes. I've noticed, like, when I get into drive, there's more space between me and the steering wheel. Like little things like that. I've noticed, and that's been kind of nice. And it's something that I want to pay attention to, and I want to celebrate and congratulate myself about. Because if I do that, I think it helps connect what I'm seeing with what I'm feeling. So that's one of the things that I've kind of figured out, is that I don't spend a lot of time in my body. I don't know how to explain that. But when you suddenly have a moment where you're in your body and you feel your body, and you feel what you feel like you get it. You're like, oh God, I just like keep myself out of that. I don't know how I feel, right? Except for on those days where I feel heavy and as big as a house. So there's been a lot of interesting changes, a lot of interesting things to come out of all of that. So I just thought I would do this video and let you guys know the weight doesn't necessarily come off as fast as you think it's going to, but it will come off. If it's going to work for you, it'll work. My personal opinion is really spend the time, instead of like hitting the gym hard and instead of doing all kinds of crazy stuff to lose weight, instead of trying to lose weight, work on building good habits that will support your body. The weight's going to come off. My A1C went from, in those 4 months, my A1C went from 7.0 to 6.2. I've got something like I've got 0.7 of a point. So less than it has come down to go before I am fully in remission. So when I go back to the doctor in a couple of months here, it'll be another 4 months when I see my doctor. If I've maintained that clip of bringing that down, my diabetes will be in full remission by my next doctor's appointment. So in less than a year, I went from diabetic to being in remission. That's what's important. Okay? So I want you to hear that. And for those of you who aren't diabetic and you're taking these medications for weight loss, you probably are insulin resistant. That insulin resistance is going to come down. Learn about that. That's what's important. I fully believe, especially now that I've had the experience that I've had with this, if you're doing the right things to care for your body, the weight loss will come. Not everybody's going to be a size 8. You don't necessarily need to be. But for me, in the body that I'm in, the size that I'm in, I need to come down a little bit, and I need to be okay with that, and I need to be aware of that, and I need to not allow personal politics around body image and diet culture and so forth shade my need to take care of my body. I'm not going to tell you what you need to look like, but I know in my body it's going to be better if I come down a little bit. So, okay, that's all I have to say about that. My next video is going to be about my gardening. I did put out a little Instagram. If y'all want to go see it, you can see some of my sprouts. Anyway, take care. Take care of you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.